All right, all right, all right. What's going on, everybody? How you all doing today? It's Jay here with the Coffee and Cigars Live stream here every Thursday night at 8 p.m. And today is October 26th. This is the last show of October, and we're rapidly running into the last show of the year. We only have 9 weeks at the end of the year, so it's really kind of crazy. How you all doing tonight? Everything's good? Everything's good here in Baltimore? We got a little bit of warm temperatures this week, so I don't know what's going on. We're supposed to be getting cold, but we were kind of chilly, then we're getting kind of warm, and I guess we'll get back to being chilly. So what's going on? Today we've got some a really exciting cigar that I've been waiting to try for quite some time, as well as a continuation of the coffee that we've been trying to work on for the last couple of weeks. So, what's going on, Mom? How are you, man? Good to see you out there. What's with us? Let me know where you are. Let me know what you're smoking, what you're drinking, and you know the drill. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. We want to know. We want to know. So today was kind of an interesting day for me. I got a delivery, and there's Tony. What's going on, Tony, man? Good to have you. Good to have you. So I think I mentioned this in the past. I ordered a new phone. I sent a message a few weeks back, and they were like, "Hey, you paid off your phone. Would you like to get a new one?" And, you know, I think it's 36 months to prove that, right? So I've had the phone. This is the iPhone 10. And now we're iPhone 15, right? So I've had this phone must be 10 years, man. So it's like, I guess they wanted to sell some phones. And I was thinking, you know what, man? My phone is getting a little bit warped. Maybe it's time to get a new one. So I did. I went and got a new one. I ordered one. Finally, it came in today, like goodness. And I did a live stream on the Ono Tech channel, unboxing that. And I thought that, you know what, for today, just to start out with, I'm going to share with you a little bit of history of the iPhone. What's going on, George? Good to have you. And so that's what we're going to start off with here. Have a look at this. This right here is iPhone collection. Right? These are all my... There it is. These there, they don't stay too long. So this is all of my phones from the entirety of ownership, right? So this is the very first one. This is the 2007 iPhone original. This is what we just called the iPhone. There was no 1, there was no 2, there was just iPhone. And this is the very first one. And we can look at it and see that, you can see the icons are so different. It's such a different beast than it is today. I mean, it's similar, but different, right? And then the next one that I got was about 4 years later, in 2011, I got the iPhone 4. This is the 4. If it ever turns back on, there we go. There we are. So this is the iPhone. Too bright. We just adjust. There we go. That's a little bit better. So you can see the interfaces are a little bit more refined than the older one, right? Oops. So there's a little bit of refination in the design, but the size of the phone, 4 generations of the same. I think the 5 was somewhat similar, right? Oh, Baldhead's with us. What's going on, Baldhead? Good to have you. And Tony says that buddy smoking the Tatois hit 20th anniversary Merveille Lonsdale and a Diet Cherry Pepsi. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Glad to have it. And then from here, from the 11, I have waited a couple of years and went to the 6. This is the 6 Plus. So this is the big one. And let me just open this up here. And you can see that the styling is still pretty much the same as the 4. That did not change terribly. And then from the from the 6 Plus, I went to the 10 or the X. And this is the more modern style, right? This is the more modern style. And then finally today, I upgraded from this to the 15. Right? This one has the active FaceTime. But here's an interesting thing. Like, look at the size difference. Like, that is a big difference in size between the very first iPhone and the current model. And Baldhead says, Cohiba Siglo number 6 that my stepbro gave to me in 2011. Oh, man. We'll see if it's fake. It's interesting you say that, because like on a lot of the cigar forums that I read, people always, talk about Cubans and they're like, oh, is it fake? Is it fake? You know what? And I don't know, man. It doesn't matter if it's fake. Like, maybe it's not fake. Like I almost never, I only go to I only buy Cubans when I'm traveling, and usually I'm at a LCDH or some kind of authorized retailer. So I never think too much about worry about fakes. But if someone gave you a cigar, what does it matter? Does it really matter? I don't know. I don't know if it does. Like I have had Siglos that were just meh. Then I've had Siglos that were great. Behike 54s, amazing. But I don't know. All right, so there it is, the new 15. I don't know why I got it, but I thought I would just share a little bit about the different phones that have come out. And I ended up keeping all my phones because I would use them over the time to do things. Like I would use it after, this is my phone recently, right? The 10, and then there's the 6. So I would always keep the previous generation phone for me as a travel phone. So when this was the primary phone, this became the travel phone. And, wherever I go, drop a new SIM card into it and then rock and roll as a local phone. Now that the 15 is here, the 10 becomes the travel phone, which is kind of nice. I've actually been kind of looking forward to making this the travel phone because it's a little bit more compact. Now, this whole two sizes of phones doesn't change when I go to this one, because there's still two sizes of phones, but they're a little bit more modern, and this one takes a little bit better video than the 6. So I do use the phones, for shooting videos for the channel. So it all kind of blends together in some way or another. I don't know. Yes, the Pro Max. This is the Pro Max. I decided that. So AT&T was like, okay, we'll give you 36 months to pay. And they showed us this calculus. Like if I turned this phone in, they'd give me $350 for it, I think it was. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep it. I've kept all the other phones. Why am I going to turn it? And the difference in the price differential between getting a trade-in versus just not getting a trade-in wasn't huge enough for me. Like maybe if they were giving me $1,000 for the phone, I'd be like, okay, well then I can totally do it. But yeah, I got the Pro Max, and I decided to go with the 1 terabyte because the difference between the 512 and the 1 terabyte per month was minimal. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just go the entire way because, you know what? Let's say that I decide that I'm going to do ProRes 422 RAW. I can do that here. And with an external Crucial X6 drive, I can go even longer. Truth is, I don't think I'll ever use 422 ProRes on this thing. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't even know what I'm going to use this for. I mean, I'll use it to shoot videos for the channel, like probably B-roll stuff that like I normally use, but or maybe I'll use it. I don't know. But I got the full-blown version because I figured, you know what, it's not going to cost terribly a lot and or more per month. I mean, overall, it costs significantly more. I think the regular one's like $1,000. This is like $1,600. So it's like, oh my gosh. But over 36 months, not that much of a difference. So the pain is spread out. And then people are like, oh, it's like you're being in a contract. Yeah, we used to have the contracts. I know. And now this is kind of like a contract because if you decide to switch services, you got to pay for the phone, whatever's left on the balance. But, they're not charging any interest. And you know what? I've been with AT&T since 1998. The chances of me moving to another carrier is almost non-existent, right? Like it would have to be monumental reasons for me to make a move, right? Like, especially after over 20 years of being with AT&T. So I think that I think that for me, at least the argument of like, oh, it's like being locked into a contract really wasn't an argument because it's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm perfectly happy with AT&T. Baldhead says, I'm debating which 15 to get. Will be my first iPhone need AirTag. That's part of the reason why I got it, because the 10 does not support AirTags. This will. which just means you got to spend another $100 on air tags, and then you're going to buy cases. I bought this case. They sent me the one that does not have the MagSafe, which is like, what in the world? I paid for the MagSafe. It says MagSafe on the box. But luckily, Amazon's good about that. They're like, we'll just send you a new one, and then you just send that back. Very good. But as far as why get the Pro Max? I don't know. Like, it's a bigger phone, right? It's a bigger phone. Like, I bought when I moved from the 4, right? When I moved from this 4 to this 6 Plus, I was like, oh man, maybe it's too big. And I bought it, and man, it's a massive difference, right? Look at that. That's a massive difference. Right? It's not terribly, it's thinner than the 4, but it's massive. But you know what? After I bought it and I started using it, I didn't really notice it. Put in my pocket, it didn't feel tremendously larger, or maybe I just got used to it. So, going from this to the 10 went smaller, right? And then now that we're going from the 10 to the 15 Pro Max, it is bigger. But now that I've had the experience with the 6, I don't really worry too much about the size of this. It is bigger. So you get a bigger screen to watch stuff on. And if you use your phone camera, like, it's, I guess, more space. I haven't really figured any of this out. I've just got it this afternoon. George says that the AT&T, yes, I believe, yes, I think they did. I've been with AT&T separate than Singular, or was it after Singular? Anyway, I don't recall, but I do recall that it was very similar. And Tony says that he went with the 15 Pro because the Max was too big. I don't think they're too big, but here's the thing. So one of the reasons, besides the AirTags, is this, the Blackmagic Pro app. It allows massive controls for your phone camera, and it'll do all these different things. You can control aperture and exposure, shutter speed, shutter angles, all kinds of craziness that is available on that is not normally available on your thing. So people were really all about something called Filmic Pro for a long time. Evidently this blows it away. Filmic Pro was like $15. Blackmagic, man, they're always giving stuff away for free. So this is a free app, and you can just download it if you have the right one. It does not work on the iPhone 10. I got the 10 and I tried to download it. They were like, no, can't do it. But Blackmagic, like the switcher that I'm using is Blackmagic. The editor I use is Blackmagic. So Blackmagic is a pretty solid company. And Baldhead says, I think I'll have to go in person and try them out. My Pixel 6 Pro has about the same screen. So, if that's the case, you're probably very well used to doing or to having this size phone. Like, it's really, I don't really find it to be terrible, right? This size. So, I would say go for it. Don't be worried so much about it. Like, no matter how close that I'm getting, right, with the screen, like, why is it? I feel like the camera is kind of locking on to me, right? Like the focal length. Well, now we're too close, right? Like, well, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's stuff the phone does. I have no idea what the phone is doing. Like, it's all like, this is all, what's the term? It's all like something science to me. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough about the phones. So there's the phone. And Tony says, yeah, you should be good. Yeah, you should be good with the Max. I think you'll be good with the Max. I think the Max is a nice size. I mean, I guess I'll figure it out as we go along and have more to relate as time goes forward. Now I've got this big phone that I don't know what to do with. And now there's a whole world of like MagSafe accessories I have to figure out. Like, do I want to use a MagSafe phone holder to shoot with, or use something? Let's not get too deep in that. Let's not get too crazy. Oh, but the one thing that I think is weird about this phone so far, and maybe this is a functionality thing, right? Oh, that's face. Yeah, I think you're right. But I know nothing about the camera, so I'm just still like, But here's something. So, like, what I find irritating right now, and I don't know if this is really a problem, but if I hit this, like, there's a button here, the power button, and you hit it, right? This is sleeping. Now, I don't know if this is a feature that you can turn off. And okay, cool. It stays, but I kind of want it to be black. Like this is off. Oh, not now. But this is off. Right there. No, it doesn't. Oh, there. Yeah, that's off, right? This is still. Now I heard there's some kind of function where you can turn it on its. Maybe this has to be turned on, but you're supposed to be able to turn it on its side. Oh, I guess it has to be on the MagSafe thing where it will give you like a landscape display. Like I don't need to know the time all the time. I don't know. I could complain about it. I could complain more on it. Tony says you can turn off the game battery. That's what I'm saying. It's like I want battery life. I want more battery life. I don't care what time it is. I don't care what time it is. And Baldhead said sleeping at 1 hertz. I guess that's a low power thing, right? Okay. I guess. Sorry, I'm not terribly well technologically versed. Anyway, let's move on because the water's getting kind of cool. So, like last week, or I think it was maybe the week before, we were making coffee with the Next Level Pulsar. And I'm still playing around with this, trying to figure it out. And if you happen to watch the morning live streams, like some of you do, on the OnoCoffee channel, at the Coffee Q&A, pretty much all week long, we've been brewing with this, trying different recipes and trying to see what we can to get out of it, right? So today we're going to go a little bit different. We're going to use what I'm going to use as a default method, right? And Tony says, reset mine to just black. Oh, I got to go in. I know, I got to go. Really what I have to do is spend like an hour and just get into the menus and try to understand what I want to set up. Like sometimes I was reading some of them and like a couple were like giving descriptions and I'm like, that doesn't sound like the right description. I don't know what that means. Anyway, we're not going to worry too much about that, but we're going to start to brew. So we're going to use the Pulsar. What we're going to do is we're going to take 24 grams of medium ground coffee. Still, we're going to be using the Peruvian House Nation. And we're going to bloom fully with the valve closed. And then we're going to pour the rest of the water, the 350 grams for 24 grams of coffee, into the pot, into the body, and then let it flow and see where we end up. So let's get into it. We got the brewer here. Oh, our camera is always falling. This camera setup has not turned out to be perfectly what I was hoping for. I think I have to change it. Basically, the whole setup is pretty heavy. Yeah, that's really where I'd like it to be. But look, it's tracking. Maybe I just need to tighten everything up. Okay, so let's put that here. We're going to take our Pulsar filters. I'm going to put one filter. Here's something that I really kind of find irritating with it, right? You can see that little notch, right? That's like a quality control thing. Like that actually has caused me a little bit of grief in positioning the filter from time to time this past week. Now it's meant to go up snug against the walls. So we're going to use the body to cinch it down. All right, good. We're also going to need our brew kettle. Put that there. There, you can see the valve now. And you can see all right, you can see the numbers. So we're going to go pretty much all the way to the top, right, eventually. Oh, maybe that's what we'll do, because it's going to be falling. I'm not using a scale. We're going to go use visual references for it. So we're going to take our coffee. We're going to put it in. 24 grams of coffee. We're going to level it out. There we are. And then we're going to get our timer. Just to see, this is more going to be reference for us to see where we're going with it. We're going to put our top on. All right, now let us start to pour the water. I'm going to pour a little bit to just kind of, pre-wet. All right, that's good. That gives us about a centimeter. You can see here. There it is. It's a good, nice ratio. Did I start this? I did not. Goodness. Oh, Inting, what's going on, man? Good to see you. How's everything going? And Steven's with us out from Arizona. What's happening, Steven? How are you? So here we are. We are rolling with our time, 15 seconds. That's probably closer to 30 because I started late. Now we're going to roll up and add the rest of our water. And then I'm going to open the valve. I'm going to go pretty hard on this thing and add it up. There you go. There we go. Look at that. That should give us right around the amount of time that we want. One thing that I don't like is that it typically will pool a little bit of water there, maybe a few grams. I don't know if you can see this, but oh, yeah, you can see a little bit of the. Yeah, you can see that. There we are. All right. Now let's look here to see. All right, yeah, that's going to give us right around 350 grams when we're done. But we're rolling pretty fast, a minute 33. So our brew time is going to be pretty quick. Will that be a big problem? Hopefully not. All right, that's pretty much done now. Like it's pretty much finishing right now. We've got, 350 grams of 350 milliliters of brewed coffee. So that's pretty much what we want as far as our brewed coffee goes. Put this back here. Put that on there. All right, we're going to take our, just got to wipe stuff up here. You can see the coffee. There we are. Let's do a little pouring. There's our little elixir. It is pretty warm. It's good. It's good. There's some chocolatey tones. Actually, it's kind of sweet. A little bit of cacao notes. There is a light body to it. Like the bitterness that we're having with some of the other methods is not very present. Some of the real bright notes that we had in the past are not really present. It's actually quite nice and enjoyable. I'm a little bit surprised. And Steven's having Aroma Craft and Temperance BA 21 Revenge. Excellent choice, my friend. Excellent choice. And a Mountain Dew. Excellent. I haven't had a Revenge in a little while. I think I have a box at home that I have not opened. Oh, no, maybe I finished that box. All right, that's nice. Okay, I like that. It's a nice, light, enjoyable coffee. Which means that it's time for us to get into our cigar of the week. And this cigar is actually one that I'm really quite excited to bring to you, to smoke for myself. I mean, really, it's for my own. I'm excited for myself, really. I'm excited for you to know about it, but I'm excited to try it, right? So This cigar is actually made by a friend of mine, Cirilo McLaine. If you've, those of you who've been watching the show for a while, you've probably seen one of the episodes that Cirilo's been on, and we've been friends for a long time. And he does so for his real world job. Cirilo is kind of like a business coach, so he works with a lot of small business to help them improve their methods and improve their business, right? And he's fairly successful doing that, from what I understand. And he also runs a side business doing the humidor notes. And if you're familiar with humidor notes, this is what it is, and it's a way for those of you who are interested to record your experiences with your cigar. And so it's a cute little book. Let me get it out of here. I'll show it to you. So it has these pages. Oh, yeah, there we go. It has these pages that allow you to write down the brand, the name, the country, and different information for you to remember and help enjoy. A spot for you to place cigar bands, to tape them up here, and then even like a 5-star rating, so you can put on your little notes or whatever you want to write for each cigar. And it's a nice way to remember the cigars that you've smoked in the past. It's a little cigar gauge here to help you understand the cigar sizes and all this. Now, it's actually really a nice little book. I've got one. Actually, I don't really use this, not because I don't like it, just more because it doesn't really fit how I like to work. I don't necessarily need to write down all of the details of a cigar. I just like to write it. Basically, what I do is I take my notepad here in the iPhone, and I'm just putting down the cigar with no real notes on the taste or what I liked or what I didn't like or any of that. It's just a matter for me just to track how many cigars I happen to smoke in a given year. And right now, I have started breaking it down by the month. And right now, this cigar tonight will be cigar number 249 for me for the year. Right, so that's how I do it. But everybody has a different way to do it. When I first started smoking cigars, I actually had like a real notebook, and I would write down all this information about what I smoked and how I smoked it. But that got to be a little bit tedious. But this is nice because it'll fit inside like your travel humidor. So if you want to use it, it's great. You can keep it in your travel humidor. I know a lot of guys that do use this on a regular basis. So it's really nice, really cool. And if you're interested, there's actually a link to the Humidor Notes website down in the description below. And that's something that Cirilo's been working on. So he's been a big fan of cigars for a very long time. And so I think it was maybe about a year or two ago, my understanding from what he's told me is that a year or two ago, because he's like, Cirilo's like me, right? He's very involved in cigars and has found a way to meet a lot of the manufacturers and get to know them. And Cirilo has a lot deeper connections with a lot of the producers than I do in cigars. But, he was hanging out with one of his friends who owns a cigar manufacturing plant or factory. And they were hanging out, and the guy asked him, hey, have you ever considered making your own cigar one day? And he was like, heck yeah, that sounds like a great idea. But he really, from what Cirilo was telling me, he wasn't really thinking about when that might be, if ever. It was more of an anomalous kind of, I would love to do that kind of thing. And then the guy was like, well, let's get to work. What sizes do you like? What kind of tobaccos do you like? And blah, blah, blah. And so they've been working on this project for a little while. And from what he told me, that they have gone through 3 rounds of samples to develop this blend of cigars. And this particular blend is Ecuadorian. Well, so the fillers are from Nicaragua. I'm not sure what it is. There are 2 binders, double binder. One is a Nicaraguan binder, and the other one is a San Andres. I don't know if it's Maduro or just the natural, but it is from Mexico, the San Andres. And then it's using a Habano Rosado wrapper from Ecuador to be the outer wrapper. And so, honestly, I don't know what that means for me. Like, I don't know enough about the individual tobaccos to really say, okay, well, that's going to taste like this, or this is what I'm expecting. But I'm excited to try it. So let us grab the cigar. We're going to go into our humidor here. Oh, Pam says hello. What's going on, Pam? How are you? And George, as you says, I'm totally loving this weather. 80 tomorrow and 82 on Saturday. I know. Can you believe that? It's amazing. It's amazing. And Tony wants to know, Steven, what do you think of the turbo 4-cylinder in the GM mid-size pickups? Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. We want to know. We want to know. All right. So let's get into it. I'm going to open up our box of joy here. I'm going to pump it up a little bit. So let's have a little check. Still pretty supple, getting harder on the edges, on the corners, but still good suppleness. Over 2 years lately. Oh, Pam got a promotion. Excellent. Congratulations. Congratulations on your promotion. I sincerely hope that means we will have more apples and sweet potatoes. But congratulations nonetheless. All right, so let's have a look at some of the things that are coming up. We've got this Saka Khan that's going to be coming up soon. We've got that's this one. We've got this cigar, and then this Envy from Romeo and Julieta, and then we've got this 1492. These are all going to be coming up in the next few weeks after this one. But let's get our cigar of the week here. Congratulations. And more snacks. But no, not that one. No more. That's seasonality's gone. Oh, maybe that one. Okay, yes. Let us have it. Let us have this. And Luke Perry says, congratulations. All right, let's get to this cigar. Here's our cigar. Actually, the wrapper is a lot darker than I recall. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Oh, let me take a moment here. Just to remind me, since this, look at my keyboard. This is my keyboard. This keyboard is over 20 years old. And until yesterday, it was all like dirty and crudted up. So I tore the whole thing apart yesterday, popped out all the keys, tore the case apart, washed and scrubbed everything in this thing. And now it looks almost brand new. Just want to show you that to admire. This is like my joy today. Like it took me like 2 hours to do that yesterday. And then I had to reassemble it. A little bit difficult. But anyway, so here's our cigar. This is a 5x56. Is that right? 5x56? Did I say that already? 5x50 box press Robusto. Now, the cigar brand is called Serneda, and Serneda is named after Cirilo's paternal grandmother, who emigrated in 1965 to the United States from Panama. And so it pays homage to her, as well as his Caribbean side of his heritage that comes from both Barbados and Jamaica. And so that's kind of the whole story behind it. Bud says that it's tiny. Well, 5x50, the Robusto. There's going to be two other sizes. There's going to be a 6x46 Corona, as well as a 6x52 Toro. But this is what he gave me. So, I'm happy to, good job for what? I'm happy to smoke whatever he gives. But, maybe it's small. So I'm talking a lot so that we can burn a little more time. No. All right, we're gonna keep talking for another half an hour so that we can get to 10. All right, so let's get this out of the wrapper. Look at that. It does have a nice. So what you're seeing on camera, color-wise, is pretty representative of what I'm seeing in person. The coloration is pretty good. Now let me grab our cigar grading form. Now we have a new updated, well, not updated, but finally I have gotten to the point where I went down to Kinko's or to a FedEx store and had them print me some proper forms. Unfortunately, I didn't realize this, but it's actually 8.5 by 14 instead of 8.5 by 11. So this is a legal size sheet. Now, I don't know if that's, I don't know where the mistranslation was, because I mean, the other ones are formatted to 8.5 by 11. So I don't know where we went wrong there. But let's get some measurements happening. And Tony's down for the Corona. Excellent. Steven says, GM so far has not done well with four-cylinder turbo platforms in a lot of their cars like the Cruze, Sonic, Trax, etc. Seen many issues with the oil leaks that develop with clogging PCV system and turbos failure. Let's hope the trucks are better. So does that mean that you should avoid a four-cylinder vehicle? All right, let's have a look here. We're going to take this. Do where we cut it. All right, there we are. That gives us 12. So every 4 centimeters is our thirds. That should be relatively easy. Great. So one of the nice things about having this in color is that now we can match up the color here much better. It makes more sense now, doesn't it? Right, than before. So we can say that the color for this cigar is right about there. Well, these are still the old. These are still the original. The second. This is the second version of the form, and I have not updated them. And I will update them, I think, now that I've seen that this is how they look. We're going to do some updating with the layout, and maybe we'll put the scale there, too. That will be good. Like, I'm going to change part of it down here. I'm going to change part of it down here. Luckily, even though that these are 8.5 by 14, luckily I only had 10 printed, so it only cost like $7 to do this. And I was almost going to do a 100 sheet run. But let's have a look at our, a little bit of like a manure-ish leather, tobacco, like a chocolate, like a mocha. That's quite enticing. I would like to say sweet, but it's not really sweet. It's definitely that little bit of manure, leather, chocolate, mocha kind of tobacco. Oh, I like that. All right. Let's get to the cutting. We're going to do our cutting now. With our Zycar MTX cutter. As you can see, I think this is starting to get a little bit on the dull side. It looks like it pushed a little bit on the inside. But it feels nice and silky. That's nice. So I'm going to say for the fragrance, I'm going to say very nice. Very nice there. I see the cold draw. So the cold draw has a little bit of this. There's a menthol type tingliness, but it's not menthol. It doesn't taste like menthol. But you know how when you draw menthol over your tongue, it gives you that tingliness. I get a little bit of that, but it's not the flavor of menthol. I would say the cold draw is more like a sweet tobacco. And I'm going to say that's a fairly nice plus flavor there. I'm going to say very good plus. And then we're now going to go to our light. I'm going to use our tobacco leaf matches here since we were at tobacco leaf a couple weekends ago having a cigar together. All right, one of the first things that I thought as I was starting to light the first couple of puffs of the light, suddenly the draw felt very loose for just a second of that first draw. It felt very loose, and then it kind of tightened up. Not that it's loose, but it is smooth. There is a robustness to the flavor of the smoke, spice, a little bit of black pepper. There's something to me that's very reminiscent of a Brazil Arapiraca wrapper, like on the Revenge. And, just as I was lighting, I was thinking that there's probably going to be things that I'm going to like about this because Cirilo and I tend to have very similar tastes in cigars. So he's blending a cigar to his taste. And since him and I share a lot of preferences in cigars, I'm imagining that I will probably find a lot of details that I like. Like, it definitely has some strength. It's definitely spice. Like a little bit of pepper, nutmeg, cinnamon. There is, for lack of a better term, there is a Revenge-esque quality to this smoke, which naturally I like. I have not set up the Tatuai tasting with George yet. I have to talk to him some more. I just chatted with him briefly the other day. The other day, I happened to stop by Salsa Grill and had lunch there. Jay was not there at the grill that on the afternoon. He probably came in later in the day. I had what they called their Caribbean paella. Pretty nice. A lot of like seafood, a lot of chicken, shrimp, sausage. Pretty decent. I'm only here the second night of November. Okay, I'm going to remember to get in touch with him, see what we can put together for that. I kind of want to say black pepper for lack of something to say, but there's definitely a deep complexity, a little bit of heaviness to it. I mean, there really is Revenge-esque qualities to this cigar. I'm finding it to be, the first few puffs to be rather enjoyable. Right now, I'm thinking that I am enjoying the smoke so far, which means that I'll have a proclivity to going to smoking it faster. So I need to moderate that in my mind to make sure that I don't go too fast with the puffing. And Tony says that the cigars are ready. Excellent. Yeah, George has been what was he saying? He said to me, let me look. He sent me a message that he's like, sorry that he hasn't been around for the shows to even just to listen to it. But he's been booked a lot on Thursday nights. So actually, looking at his last message to me, he may not be available till after football season is over, especially if he's doing like Thursday night things for but I'll double check with him just to see. So it's kind of a medium plus bodied. Like when I that last puff, it feels a little bit heavy, but I wouldn't describe it as heavy. Definitely the smoke is there's a thickness to the smoke that gives you this like weightiness to the cigar. Like if I was smoking this all by myself, just on my own, oh man, I'd be very happy. It's got depth, complexity, a little bit deep, a little bit brooding. Ah, KMB Golf, what's going on, man? Good to see you again. I'm guessing you have a good palate for your coffee stuff. I can't tell if you retrohale. I got a retro to get. You know, for me, I have a very difficult time with retrohaling. I'm very poor at it. There, it's one of those things where I've spent my, I've been smoking now since the early to mid '90s, and so retrohaling is a relatively new phenomenon to my experience. So I've trained myself so much to like not inhale at all that it's very difficult for me to actually do the retrohaling. I'll try it once in a while, and I have had some experience, but I don't really necessarily. I don't find myself enjoying it less because I don't retrohale. But we could try. Let's see if we can. I can't. It's very difficult. But I know a lot of people do the retrohaling and they find really deep nuance to their cigar experience. Definitely, I would describe the smoke as being a thicker, heavier, weighty smoke with quite a lot of complexity to it. Weight, complexity, notes of like that mocha note is still coming through, a little bit of that spice, not necessarily black pepper spice, but definitely some kind of spice. Going back to the nutmeg, the clove, the mace. Without it tasting like pumpkin spice. Let's have some little coffee with that. Now, since Cirilo said that this brand was developed to, well, part of it is to honor his heritage, his Caribbean heritage, I thought that maybe, you know what, maybe I'll go dig into the recesses of of the roastery and get some rums from the Caribbean. Now, this one is the Zaya. So we're going to see how this goes along with it. Now, Cirilo's family comes from both Jamaica and Barbados. I know Trinidad is nowhere near. I mean, it's near, but it's not the same. So it's going to be a little bit different. I didn't have whiskey from either. Unless that Hamden was from Jamaica. I think the Hamden is from, I should have grabbed that one. Actually, I didn't see it. But we're going to use this just to give us a reference point. So this is the Zaya 16 years. I'm not really a big drinker. Like if I have a bottle of something, it'll last years here. But we know when I'm out, like when we were out with Cirilo this past weekend, we're out there. And every day there's a bottle of like tequila. And it's not the only bottle. There's multiple bottles. And somewhere along the way during, like, so if you hang out down at the Tobacco Leaf, there's a whole group of guys that hang out, and girls. And prior to the pandemic, whiskeys, bourbons, whiskeys galore. Now it's all tequilas. And I'm like, wow, this is a big change. I said, what happened? They said, well, pandemic changed. I don't know what happened. Oh, all right. So, but man, there's a lot of, like when I was there the last 2 weekends ago, I was like, whoa, I'm having quite a bit of tequila and I need to drive home. All right. So let's cheers to you. Mm. Yes, we are talking Georgia's language now. Nice vanilla caramel. Oh, that's really nice. The Zaya. I haven't had that in a while. That's very nice. To me, I like the Zaya, the Zacapa. Sometimes the Flor de Caña 18-year. That's a nice balance there. That chocolate and the vanilla and the caramel kind of balance out the weightiness of the smoke and the mocha, tobacco-ness of it, and a little bit of the spiciness. Huh. But also, I think it does, kind of overtake it a little bit, right? I don't know if, honestly, I don't know if that's really the great pairing. I think I like the neutrality of the coffee a little bit more. I think. Rusty's in the house. What's going on, Rusty? Rusty's there with a glass of 1792 bourbon neat, enjoying the evening. Excellent, excellent. Are you inside or out? And how are you feeling? COVID's passed, and are you back to work, or what's going on with you? So you went to Paris. You got COVID. Did you catch the COVID in Paris? Love the 1792. That's also a nice bourbon. That is a nice bourbon. I haven't really tried that one though. I've only heard this. Or maybe I probably had a sip from someone. Yeah, see, here's the thing. So that rum, while it's very nice quality, I think it overshadows the cigar. COVID passed, back to school, don't have smell back. Oh, man. But taste, you're still good with taste, right? And how are your preparations for the Widmer's chili cook-off on November 5th? So that's a reminder for everyone. November 5th, Sunday, we're going to be down in Philadelphia or up in Philadelphia, depending where you're from. Rusty's going to be competing in unless that's changed. We're going to be competing in the chili cook-off. So we're going to go there, hang out, smoke cigars, dress warmly, bring chairs. So come on down. It starts, 11, I think it was? Rusty says, honestly, don't think I got COVID from Paris. My school is one. Yeah, that's how kids are. That's how kids are. Yeah, I definitely think that maybe the rum was not the way to go. Like the rum kind of at the moment is overpowering the palate at the moment. So we'll let it trim down and so we can return to fully enjoying the cigar. We need some water. But let's look at our burn. Like the burn is going along nicely. Good white ash. Now, this cigar, from my understanding, is made in Nicaragua. I'm presuming Esteli. I do not know the factory. The factory has not been disclosed yet. Evidently, from my understanding, it could be wrong, but my understanding is that the cigars are relatively finished now. There are 3 sizes, and there's some things that there's some hurdles they have to overcome as far as where they're going to set up their headquarters and how they're going to do distribution that need to be finalized before they can actually start to distribute the cigars. But I think it'll be probably sometime in 2024. Yeah, I got to be honest, that rum has suspended my ability to accurately assess the flavors of the cigar for hopefully not too much longer. I guess when we're smoking casually, we don't really worry about that. We're just kind of enjoying the pairings. But here we want to have a little bit more of the nuance. So what else been going on in your guys' world? Anything interesting? A lot of interesting things going on in the world. Not all of them very good. Like one of the worst news that I've heard this week, Magnum PI is finally going to be canceled. If you're familiar with Magnum PI, it's the reboot of the Tom Selleck series with Jay Hernandez and Perdita Weeks. And, they've taken the whole Magnum Higgins relationship in a whole different direction. Had they gone in this direction with the original show, that would have been a very different show at a very different time. So last season, CBS, where the show premiered, canceled the series. Despite having great numbers and a large audience, they canceled. NBC decided to rescue it, ordered 20 episodes. They showed early this year the first 10 episodes, and now we're running through the final 10. And they didn't get picked up. And so finally NBC says they're going to let it die, which is sad. One of my childhood friends is the medical examiner on the show now. And I was all like, oh, it's all excited. I was like, all right, hopefully we'll get a lot more seasons and you can be on the show and I can come visit the set. But that's over. Very, very sad. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit of flavor back. A little bit of that spice is starting to return to the palate. Good. We are still a little bit of ways from the first third. Good, it's good. I want to have a little bit more flavor perception before we give an assessment for the first third. But I think we've got medium plus body, very good quality. I think our flavor, it's got good body, it's got good flavor, it's got nice like mocha notes, tobacco notes, some spice, a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of mace, a little bit of cloves. So, I think we're in a very good plus position so far. And like I said early on, there were some very revenge-esque notes, which, of course, you know me, and I'm very pro-revenge. It's going to have, so that hits positively for me, right? Now, one of the things to consider as we talk about the cigar is that, there's going to be some kind of bias here. It has revenge-like notes, so I'm going to like that. It's made by a good friend of mine, so I have a proclivity more to like it, right? So it's a different, so as you're thinking about what I talk about and consider those things too, that this is not me smoking a cigar by some manufacturer who I don't really know. This is me smoking a cigar from a brand owner who I know very well. And the nice thing is that, while I can say that some of the brands, the manufacturers are friends of mine now, this is one where the owner is a friend before cigars, right? Before smoking a cigar. So that's an interesting twist. I'm kind of excited about that. Rusty's asking, are you coming to Sunday to Widmer's? Yes, cooking starts at 11, judging at 3 or 4. Oh, okay. So we've got some time then. We don't have to be there quite too early. Yes, I am planning on coming up. I mean, that may change only because I don't know if I told you this, but my uncle in Boston had passed away a couple weeks ago, and at some point, my mom and dad want to go pay their respects. So, I'm the one that has to drive them. So at some point, I will have to go to Boston. I don't know exactly when. And I was telling my mom today, I was like, we need to figure out when you want to go so that I can plan. And then I also have another uncle who I saw today. Unfortunately, he's in bad shape. It's really kind of shocking because I just saw him a couple weeks ago before I got COVID. And he was doing pretty well. He was fine. And then he got COVID, and that really like they intubated him, and that's really difficult. Like, I don't know if you knew about this, but when you intubate someone, and I think this is true for any kind of intubation, not just COVID. One of our friends who's a doctor was like, you have about a 20% chance of survival once you're intubated. It's like, oh my God. So I didn't think that he was going to make it, honestly. And so they told me, they sent him home. So we went to go visit him today, and wow, very, very different. It's like hospice care at home, 24-hour nurses. It's, I don't even know if he's conscious, to be honest with you. It's like, it was pretty shocking. I was like, oh my, this guy I just saw a couple weeks ago. Took a picture with him, hung out for a few minutes. Oh, thank you, Rusty. I appreciate that. And thank you, Baldhead. I appreciate that as well. Times get strange as we get older. Family, friends, exes. I think we're all lucky to make it to make it every day. It's like, wow, I'm glad we're still here, man. I'm glad we're still here. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. Anyway, my senses are, my senses are that were like kind of occluded because of the rum is starting to come back more. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Can't believe that fell off. Okay, so the ash is a little bit weak. So that just fell apart. Not badly, but it fell off. So that always bothers me. There's a little bit of, look at that. There's a little bit of a hole. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if this is going to still be, it doesn't look like it's lit, but let's see. There's a little bit of that retrohale for you there, KBH. Thank you. All right, so let's have a look here. We're gonna say that we've been through it. Like I said, we've got a little bit of medium plus body that I think is 8.5, and I think the flavor also very good plus. We're gonna say 8.5. So there it is, 8.5, 8.5. Baldhead says loads of smoke from that cigar. Yeah, the smoke production, very good. Probably closer to excellent. So very nice smoke production. The burn has been going well. Even consistency throughout that first. Well, it's hard to say consistency because my palate wasn't at full performance for a good part of the last part of the first third. If that made any sense. There's definitely a heaviness to the cigar. Like, I think my senses are starting to return, but I don't think it's fully over the rum. But it's definitely a heavier. It's starting, the second third is starting a little bit heavier, a little bit darker, a little bit deeper, a little bit more ominous. Like if we were to describe this in terms of Star Wars, the first third, it's like it's like the old Republic. Now here we're starting to move into the Empire, the darker ages, right? That's how it feels. It feels heavier. It feels darker. It feels more ominous, like I said. It's a little bit scratchy here in the back. So it feels like we're getting a little more tingliness, a little bit more más fuerte. George is moving on to the OMAC from Foundation Cigars. Nick makes... You are a big Nick Manillo fan. I love it. That's one thing. And every time that you come on the show and you're not smoking a Nick cigar, I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm like, oh, what happened? I am looking as far as cigars that are coming up, you know, in that vein. Nick Manillo from Drew Estate, another Drew Estate alumni, Steve Saka. I am looking forward to trying this Saka Khan because when I had, like I said before, when I had the short Churchill from Steve, man, I really enjoyed that. Really, really enjoyed it. And Tony was like, you know, the Saka Khan's very similar to that. And I was like, I need to get one of those. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys here on the show in the coming weeks. I still haven't sat down to figure out what exactly the order we're going to do the next 4 cigars in. I need to do that. Definitely heavier. Like it's gotten heavier, like darker, a little bit more forceful. Maybe not necessarily nicotine, but definitely there's a little bit of harshness to it. Here in the back of the fiddle. I might have to try this this retrohaling thing. Oh, there was. I did get it. Oh. What do I get? Spice. More nutmeg. Nutmeg comes to mind right away. No, I don't know. I'm a terrible retrohaler. Terrible. Tony says, well, since Nick's cigars are made by AJ Fernandez, George is usually smoking some AJ product. Really? I thought that Nick was making his cigars with the Cuencas at Florida, Nicaragua. Florida? I don't know. I guess the question is, who doesn't AJ make for? Yeah, definitely it's changed. It definitely has changed. Deeper, darker, a little bit harsher, a little bit like it was nice at the beginning, and now it's a little bit rude. Right? Like it, you know, to put it in like rude boy parlance, you know, it's like the cars rolling along suddenly now it's like, oi, 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 oi. Now, when I started this cigar, I said it was very revenge-esque. Like the first part of the first third, very revenge-esque. That's not, I would not say that is how it is performing now. It is distinctly different than a revenge now. Similar vein as far as strength and dark complexity, but a different path. I am curious to know, like, you know, I guess next time Cirilo and I hang out, he's willing to maybe tell me more about the selection of tobaccos that they're using. Like, you know, I wonder, like, I've been to Drew, I've been to Nica Sueño, I've been down to Aganorsa, to Tabsa, and I've had the opportunity to try the different leaves and smoke them. And even at the Drew place, we even blended our own cigars. Maybe I'll include one of those for one of the future videos. But, I still don't really understand what the different tobaccos will do, how they will impact and interact. I think that's a fascinating study. Tony says, depends on the line. Tabernacle, Olmec, El Huehuense, and the Charter Oak are all AJ blended by Nick. Oh, nice. And I wonder how long it takes some of these guys to make cigars. Like, from what Cirilo's notes they sent to me, he said that this cigar, these 3 cigar sizes and blend, they took 3 different passes to come up with this over, I guess maybe over a year or 2, but 3 different blendings before they found it. And I wonder how long does that actually happen? And George says, Tony, funny you mentioned that I just finished the Onyx by AJ. Oh, man, you're like AJ on a roll. Tony, you're a true tobacconist. You know what I'm smoking without. That he is. I keep telling Tony, man, open your own shop, man. You should open your own shop up in PA where the prices are good. But that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of risk. The cigar is nice. Like, I think a lot of the guys that watch the show that we know, I think you'll find enjoyment in this cigar when it finally gets released. Like, especially those of you who enjoy the Roma Craft series of cigars. Roma Craft tends to be overall heavier than most cigars. Let's say, like, compared to Fuente, definitely heavier on the scale of like weightiness. This is kind of that, but I wouldn't say that it's heavy like a Neanderthal or a Cro-Magnon. More the weightiness of like the BA and Temperance series, but with a very different path. And the interesting thing about this kind of approach, and I don't know if this is necessarily different than a lot of other cigar makers, but definitely this is a cigar that Cirilo was telling me that he was crafting for his taste, for his enjoyment, not necessarily to reach a certain market segment. And I think that, because of that, he likes cigars, we share a lot of taste. So he likes a lot of Roma Craft. He likes a lot of the Tatuajes. He likes a lot of my father. So if you're in that kind of realm, which I think most of the guys that are here on this show tend to be, I think this will definitely be a worthy exploration for you. My guess at this point, if I was to guess where this will end up in our rankings, I think it'll end up somewhere in the revenge category, in that mid-80s strata, which for our scale is very, very good. Because, one of the interesting things that I have thought is that when we did the revenge on the show, you guys all know that it's my favorite go-to cigar. You'd think that, that would be like 90 plus, but it didn't end up there. And I think it ended up where it should be, right? It is a great cigar to smoke and enjoy. That does have, I think it was accurately assessed, despite my personal proclivities. Speaking of which, man, Steven, how is that a revenge working out for you? So we're rolling along 9:15. We're just about halfway through our second third. So you know what? We might make it all the way to the 10 o'clock hour. But what else been happening in the world? There's been a lot of strife happening. I don't know if you saw that today. I saw this today that the Russian parliament decided that they were going to abandon whatever nuclear testing ban that they had adhered to. So evidently in 1996, Russia and the United States are signatories to a ban on nuclear weapon testing. Evidently, the United States never ratified. We signed, but we didn't ratify it. So it's like we didn't really say yes. We kind of said, okay, but we didn't say yes. So Russia, I guess, said yes, and they ratified it. But now they're like, okay, we're going to throw that away. But the United States did come out today and say that they do not believe that there's no indication that Russia is going to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, which is good because, like, what good is that? If you want to take over a nation, let's say Ukraine, right, and you nuke the country, what good does that do you? Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, now you've got irradiated land. Rusty Zach, and speaking of protests, is SAG still protesting in New York? I thought it was settled. No, it has not been settled. So for the longest time, it's been the Writers Guild of America, the WGA. They had a strike, and then SAG's contract expired, and SAG-AFTRA struck. The Writers Guild a few weeks ago, back in September, finally came to an agreement with the Association of Motion Picture Television Producers, the AMPTP. They signed a contract, and the writers went back to work. But SAG still has not come to an agreement. And the studios, I think today, or was it yesterday, they finally called up SAG and was like, okay, let's go back to the table. So I think we're getting to the point where the studios are starting to realize that, okay, if we don't get rolling with production, we're not going to have anything at all in 2024 ready. Because even though the writers are back to work and they could write the scripts for all of the movies and TV series, if there's no SAG contract, there is no actors to work. So that's a major issue for them. Now, the strike overall has been devastating to the industry. Like, it's not just SAG and the writers that have been striking, but because they've been striking, the entire industry is basically shut down, with the exception of like commercials and some other scripted formats that are non-signatory. So there's a difference between signatory and non-signatory, right? Signatory productions is pretty much all the major productions. Non-signatory are productions that don't use union talent at all, and that's true whether they're writers, directors for the DGA, Directors Guild of America, SAG for Screen Actors Guild, and the IATSE guys who, like me, are all like the technicians. Everybody else is out of work. Rental houses, production studios, all the technicians have been out of work for well over 10 months now. So it's really getting to a breaking point where, like, if all of these other tertiary businesses, like, for example, the rental houses, and so pretty much when you have a production, cameras, lighting, grip gear, stages, scenic, everything is dependent upon technicians and rental houses. Like, the studios don't really own cameras, they rent them. They don't own lighting, they rent them. They don't necessarily own the stages, they rent them. So if all these other tertiary businesses start to collapse, when production finally does come around, then it's going to be a much more difficult situation because now there's no support systems in place. So it's still a very iffy thing at the moment. So hopefully SAG will come to an agreement and everybody can get back to work because, one of my friends, the guys that we did, my friend who's Alan, who does sound, he's a boom operator down in Atlanta. He's done things like Stranger Things. He's done a lot of the Marvel movies, Loki, and all that kind of stuff. Like, these guys are all doing other stuff. Like, he's driving long distance trucks, tractor trailers. He's got his commercial driver's license to drive around the country. to try to make ends meet, to keep food on the table for their families. So it's a tough situation right now. And Tony says, I like to insert the barbecue analogy. Here's our rub. Here's our sauce. If you don't like it, move on. We're not catering to the masses. I like that level of passion. Yes, I agree with you. Which, speaking about barbecue, that's the one thing that I don't like about a lot of barbecue joints, right? Like Mission Barbecue is a great example. And if you're not familiar with Mission Barbecue, is this local Maryland or Virginia-based chain of barbecue joints. And I've been to a few of them. And their cooking is actually quite on point, right? Like I'll order the brisket or something, usually cooked really well, really nicely done. However, when you go there, they have like 9 different sauces because they're catering to all these different tastes. Like Tony says, I'm the kind of barbecue person that if I go to a place, I want you to give me your barbecue. I don't really care about Carolina style. I don't care about Texas style. What's the style that we're going to? Like if I go to Wilbur's in Goldsboro, North Carolina, they have their pulled pork barbecue where they use this sauce that's basically vinegar and chilies. Super simple, but man, it's what they do, and they do it incredibly well. Like in Texas, you go to Croix, you go to Black's, you go to Chisholm Trail, Ludlow, or Luling Market. They all have their own style. They'll have their own sauce. They don't have multiple sauce. They have, this is what we do. I totally agree. I'm totally with you on that. I like that better. We're in agreement there. We're definitely in agreement. And Steven says, delicious. Revenge is a winner. I'm glad you're thinking so. So we're not quite to the end of the second third. I am starting to think maybe I should tap this out because, it's heavier. It's definitely heavier. Like I definitely get a little bit more scratchiness on the throat. I am going to tap it out because I went to tap it out. It fell. There's no winning with this. I just get ash all over the desk. Whew. Let's have some coffee with that. Let's see how it's doing. Brian is finally with us. What's going on, Brian? Finally got out of your concert. Good to see you. How was it? Was it a good concert? Speaking of concerts, a lot of my friends this week went to go see Depeche Mode down at the Capitol Center earlier this week. And then another couple friends of mine also went up to Philadelphia to see Depeche Mode last night. I've been watching some of the videos. That's the one thing about now in modern times with phones and YouTube is that any concert that happens, you can go the next day and like look up that band and somebody was shooting video of that show. And it's interesting. Like when I was at Duran Duran in DC, one of the guys in front of me, man, he's live streaming it. He's just holding his, and I'm like, why do you want to go to a concert and spend your entire time holding your phone up live streaming? That just seems. Now, I did record, like I shared with you guys right after the Duran Duran concert. I did record a couple of the songs that are my favorites, but to do the entire thing, that's a bit crazy. And Brian says, 11 listening tonight. Yes, man. Great to see you guys. Thanks for joining in. I certainly appreciate that. And Brian says, Carver School. Oh, it was a Carver. Oh, yeah. They're good down there. Those arts kids, they're always good. A couple of my nieces went to or go to Carver. One graduated, one's still there. I used to work with the Carver culinary staff to do an event every year, one of their fundraisers. Haven't done that in a while, but that was always kind of fun. When I was in high school, I kind of thought about going to the Baltimore School for the Arts. But unfortunately, I didn't learn about School for the Arts until we were ending our sophomore year, moving to junior year, and I was just kind of like, well, my mom asked me, do you want to transfer? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to stay here. I hate it, but I'm going to stay. So as we're getting through this second third, definitely it's gotten more weighty, heavier. And like I said earlier on, we went from like the old republic into like the galactic empire. So it got a little bit darker, a little bit more broody. And it's kind of stayed there. As far as like, speaking of Star Wars, it reminds me of like the shows. I haven't really watched any shows this week. I haven't kept up with it. I know Lower Decks is about to finish. Like this week is their penultimate episode. Haven't seen that yet. Loki's still rolling. Haven't seen that this week. Last week I was saying that Loki, it's been so long since we saw Loki before that I kind of forgot the story. Last week was better. I don't know if you guys are watching that or what you think about it, but I thought it was better. Then we had a shooter last night in Maine who evidently is still on the loose. I thought it was interesting. Like today I was watching some of the reports on it, and they're like, oh, this is a person of interest. And I was wondering, like, what makes the difference between a person of interest and a suspect? Like, and I'm sure you guys have seen this. Like, they've got video footage of this guy holding an AR-15 in the firing position in a bowling alley. Like, at that point, is that guy still just a person of interest? Like, you're like, okay, that's this dude. Maybe he's just a person of interest instead of a suspect. I posed that question out on one of the forums, and one of my friends was like, well, it's probably because, the lawyers could use that later to muddle the question, so they're using that now. I was like, huh, all right. What makes it? And actually, it was up in Lewiston, Maine. I think that's what it's called. One of my good friends, she lives up somewhere. I think she lives in Portland. I think that's where because I messaged her and sent her a message. I was like, hey, are you all right? Because I know she lives in that area. Finally, she wrote back to me this morning. She's like, I'm fine. It's actually about an hour away from us, so we're okay. I was like, okay, good. Steven says, just as bad Stellantis Group passed on the SEMA show and the big LA trade shows or any of the big city auto shows. Buyers are disappointed. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I was planning today to go up to New York City. There is the National Association of Broadcaster shows, the NAB show. It's the same show that I go to in Vegas in April. It's happening this weekend. And I found out today, I was talking to another friend of mine. He's like, well, it would have been nice to go, but they have a hi-fi audio show that they do it in conjunction with. So that would have been interesting to see some really hi-fi audio stuff. And Tony says he's moving on to the PDR 1878 Capa Corojo. Oh, nice. I haven't tried that one. And Brian says that Baldhead is a subscriber. We need to get him. Yes, you should come down. When we do our 200th episode, we're going to have another outing here at the Roastery, another big show, some food and stuff like that. We'll do a celebration. So if you have the time to fly in from Canada, might be kind of fun. Last time we did this, we had a lot of cigars, giveaways, swag. So we'll probably have some more of that. That'll be in the summertime, I think, probably right around July, I imagine. And I'm just saying that off the cuff because the 100th episode was in July, last 2022. And we haven't really missed many shows for the last year and a half or so. So we're probably still on track for that. And actually, a lot of that was, due to Rusty's prodding. Rusty was very, very, very much about like, we need to do a 100th episode, celebration. I was like, well, all right. Sounds good. Brian says GM 2.7 liter turbos. Now, what's that in reference to? Oh, to the 4-cylinder turbos. All right, we are okay now. Whoops. We are rolling into our last third. So we can, I think that we've been relatively consistent and relatively static, which, it's different, but qualitatively, I don't think it's changed. So I'm going to say very good plus for both of those categories. Ball says, I'll drive down for, you're going to drive down. Oh, you're in Ottawa, right? Ottawa. I believe that's right. All right, excellent. We'd love to have you. We would love to have you. We don't have much Cubans down here, though. By the way, how is that cigar working out for you? That 2011 you were smoking? Let me just scroll back here and see which one it was. Yeah, the Cohiba Siglo V. Was it good, or has it been good? And do you think it was real or fake? That's very curious. And Tony, how was that Tatuai 20th? I'm interested to try that one myself. I haven't tried that yet. And Brian says, holy crap, the grading form doesn't look like skill. Yes. So finally, I was telling you guys earlier that I finally got around to sending the file out to print at the FedEx store in full color, because really, this is the part here that was the most muddled with the black and white printouts. And this is a lot cleaner of a printout, whatever laser color they're using at FedEx store. The problem is that, and I don't know if this is because the file is actually formatted this way or for some reason they printed out, but this is formatted as a 8.5 by 14 legal size sheet, which is way too big for my filing system. Luckily, I only did 10 of these instead of the 100 I was thinking about doing. So I'm going to reformat everything and then change some of the layout of it to reflect more what we've been doing, using it, how we've been using it. And then also going to add in, Tony had a great idea of adding in an actual scale instead of just me writing these hash marks. We'll actually have a scale for it so that we can, have something a little bit nicer. So that's going to be the next iteration. So eventually I'll get around to doing that. Oh, so the Tatuai 20th is excellent as always. I haven't seen that yet. I don't think they had it. They didn't have it at the Tobacco Leaf when I was there last. Brian says, no, the whole page. Yeah, the whole page was muddled, definitely. Like we look here at some of the older sheets, right? Like this one, there's always, my printer is kind of like getting old and worn, so there's always this. But every once in a while, it'll run into something like this. And that's always a bit of a pain. But, when you have it in 8.5 by 11, I can easily put that into a binder. Legal size, I can't. So I'm going to have to reformat and then reprint. So once I get it right, then I can start to print them in larger quantities. Oh, so they just shipped this week. Excellent. All right, I'm getting a little bit of, I'm going to drop that because I'm getting tired of it falling on my desk. So smoke, draw, burn, excellent. It's been fantastic. No issues there. The ash does fall a little bit easy. That's a little bit irritating, but not a big deal. Baldhead says, seems real, the Siglo number 6. First third was great. The rest could have used more rest, I'm guessing. Well. At some point, you really have to smoke them. 2011 is a good time to, 12 years, a dozen years is a good time for aging to see how it is. Perhaps you have more. You can try it again in another couple of years. And Steven says, Diamondbacks from the World Series. Oh, right on. Congratulations. Good luck to you guys. I'm glad to hear that someone's doing well in that. Our Baltimore Orioles did not do very well in the postseason. Oh, it's only 9:34. We've really spent the last 20 minutes flying through this cigar. Maybe George is right. We're not going to make it to the end, to 10 o'clock with this. Or maybe we will. Who knows? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. So, Baldhead, you've been, I remember when you first started joining us, you said that was your first cigar in a long time, and you smoked with us every night since then, or at least every Thursday night. Have you been smoking much in between the shows during the week? Brian says, Diamondbacks, I don't watch unless I'm at the Elks, but go Diamondbacks. Go Diamondbacks. We got someone to root for here. That's great. And Rusty says, your O's did better than my Mets. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that. There's definitely a weightiness to the cigar, a heaviness that I feel here in the back of the throat. Like it's a little bit rough and scratchy on that. Like it's just kind of like, it's not a Neanderthal that kind of pounds on you, but it's definitely like that kind of like strength. Coffee's nice. Goes over that. I'm really enjoying the coffee with the cigars overall for our shows because it's, like we found out today, it's a relatively neutral effect on the palate. It's not a competing, whereas the rum, this Zaya that I was trying earlier, was a little bit on the, it kind of coats the palate and kind of occludes the taste perception a little bit. Bald says, just once a week. I've got one more Siglo for next week, and then I'll switch to sampling. Oh, all right, sampling boxes. Is this Siglo also from 2011? I mean, if it's the same era, then perhaps it might be an advantageous choice to continue aging that for maybe a little while longer, just to see if there's any improvement over time. We have an unforeseen future of shows to go through, so there's plenty of time. Plenty of time for us to go and see what's happening in the world. Evidently, Taylor Swift has done so well with her tour and her shows, her movies, that she's finally been catapulted into the billionaire ranks. And I saw this meme not too long ago where they talked about the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. And I think it was, if you were to take those into seconds, right, convert those into seconds, I think they said 1 million seconds was 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 and a half years. And it's like, you don't really think about like what the difference is between million and billion. Like it seems we're so many billionaires now that it's like, oh, it's just kind of commonplace. But really, 31 years of seconds to be 1 billion, that's an incredible amount of difference between 1 million. Baldhead says, probably about as old. I just want to get rid of singles that I don't have a lot of info on. Understood. Well, we look forward to seeing how they turn out next week, that last Siglo. That's good. You know, it's nice to moderate the cigars. Like, actually, I haven't smoked a cigar since Saturday, I think. Is that right? Yeah, but prior to this, I didn't smoke at all this week. Oh, yeah, Saturday I was out with my cousin. My cousin was visiting from Honolulu. So we got together, and my other cousin brought over some cigars. So I had the Romeo y Julieta. What did we have? We had the Romeo y Julieta San Andres Robusto. Actually, surprisingly, a nice cigar. Nice smoke, nice construction, nice burn, nice flavor. Not really like the kind of boldness that we tend to gravitate towards with like more of the boutique style cigars, but for a mass produced like big conglomerate cigar, surprisingly good, and certainly much better than the that Camacho Ecuador that we had in July. That was still significantly troubled. Tony says if it was a Romeo, it was also made by AJ. AJ's making everything, that guy. Actually, Tony, I'm thinking that if there's any cigar that's made by AJ, you will know about it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that was surprisingly enjoyable. My cousin, he started smoking a lot during the pandemic, and he smokes a lot. I think he does smoke a lot of those, like more of the Altares type cigars, those big conglomerate cigars. I think that's what he really orders and gravitates towards. But so far, I've enjoyed whatever we've had. We haven't smoked too much over the last year or so, but I'm going to refill on this cigar, on this coffee. This is the Peruvian house nation, the Churumpampa. We've been using this coffee as we've been testing out the Pulsar brewer for the last week and a week or so. That's been interesting. This Pulsar brewer has been a tricky one to master. We've tried different recipes from different people to see what's going on with it, to see if we can find a best way to brew. I kind of like this one, and then we did another one called what is it called? There's a style that was called I forgot the name. Right now I forgot the name. But that had there was one style that had nice results. The other one we tried, this one called the French no press method. I did not find joy in that. Speaking of no joy, I went to my PCP a few weeks ago, and she was like, I make a like my cigars. I keep a list of what I eat and what I eat, so that I can discuss with her about what I'm eating and what maybe I should look for or change. And so I've been, for a while there, I was using a lot of like bran flakes that I pick up from Lidl, as well as some of these grape nuts flakes, because I figured, okay, a lot of protein, so maybe that's better. I read somewhere on the internet that these are protein heavy cereals, and it was a simple thing. So just a little bit of the cereal, some milk. And she's like, maybe you should try something different because it's very carb heavy. I was like, really? It's carb heavy? I was kind of enjoying it. It's slightly sweet, not sweet, but like lightly sweet. She's like, try some more Greek yogurt. So I was like, okay, I'll try Greek yogurt. And I don't really find Greek yogurt to be very joyful to eat. Like it's thick, which normally I would like thick, but it's like, I don't know, it's just not joyful, right? So I was complaining about that on Facebook last week. And some of my friends were like, you should try it with some honey. So yesterday I was out, or the other day I was out at the store and I'm looking. So, they had this honey vanilla at Lidl Greek yogurt. So I tried that. Posted about it again. I said, okay, well, I went to the thing, and it's a bit sweet, right? It's a little bit better, but I think it's a little bit too sweet for my taste. My one friend, she's like, when I said honey, I meant put honey in it. I was like, I know what you're saying, but I was like, well, I just make it easier. So that and some granola makes it a little bit more palatable, but I still don't like the texture of it. So I think next time when I finish this tub, I'm going to go back to the regular Greek yogurt and get some nice local honey. Because somebody was telling me recently they're eating a lot of, I think it was Cirilo, he was telling me that, he's been eating a lot of local honeys from wherever he's living now in Atlanta for a while. So he's been buying honey produced in Atlanta, and he's finding that a lot of his allergies that he would normally have been alleviated because the bees are, pollinating with whatever that area's allergenics, whatever you call it. And it's alleviated a lot. And I was thinking, maybe I should be doing more of that. Try that. Like, I don't really have allergy issues, I'm saying maybe that's a good approach. It sounds plausible. Brian says, using the cold brew setup I gave you, how many ounces of coffee is needed for a full craft? Or you know what I mean? So the one you gave me, so you gave me this one, the Toddy brewer. So Toddy makes a home version of their cold brewer, which you can buy, and they also have a big commercial one. The real difference is the volume, right? The home version is a gallon. The commercial version is 5 gallons. And for Toddy, for traditional style Toddy, for every gallon of cold brew that you want to make, you want to use 1 pound of ground coffee. And that's going to give you a concentrated brew that will be diluted 2 to 1 to make a regular concentration. So there it is, 1 pound per gallon for cold brew. I'll get you honey price. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And local honey improves. Yeah, you know, I hadn't even thought about that. You know, there was a time, for the longest time, when, and really, especially when the shops were all running, I was very much into like the sourcing part of it, right? Like we would go to this woman, Sybil. She has her own beery or honeybee, whatever farm. And she produces beautiful honey, but I haven't seen her in a while. And like, you know, now that I'm kind of out of the retail side of things and I'm just buying stuff myself, I'm really buying just the cheapest stuff that's out there. I'm like, well, what's cheap? All right. But for the local honey, I'll definitely go for local honey. But yeah, Brian, I'll be interested for that honey. That commercial honey, I don't really eat the commercial honey because it's just like sketch. I want a nice local honey that's nice and clutch. Huh? How's that for young people speak? So still smoking well. Overall, I'm going to say the cigar has been very consistent. In some ways, I would describe that as relatively static, especially the last 2/3. But it's been in a positive way. Like sometimes we'll get static consistency and it's kind of boring. This is still very interesting. It's still a nice complex cigar that holds the interest. Like if I had gotten this cigar like at a store without knowing the owner or the brand, I think I'd be very favorable toward, just as favorable as I am now. But I can't discount the fact that I do know the owner. That's going to play some role. I'm going to dump that, knock that out. We're getting right down to the end now. EP area, that could be it. That could be it. That sounds right. So anything else been interesting happening? I've been playing around a little bit with something called spaghetti Napolitan. And I got a video that's coming out on the main channel that comes out Saturday that chronicles a visit to a coffee shop in Tokyo called Galant. It's one of these old style kissetens. And there's this particular genre of Japanese food called yoshoku, which translates into Western-inspired Japanese food. And the spaghetti Napolitan is one of those dishes. It's very ubiquitous in Japan, very popular. And basically the basic premise of that is it's spaghetti, but instead of using tomato sauce, they use ketchup. And this stemmed from the post-World War II period where, you know, products were very scarce and they had to make do with what they had. And so part of that was to create a spaghetti dish that, you know, fries, you know, you saute some onions, some bell peppers, maybe some mushrooms, a little bit of slice of ham, even, you know, sliced up hot dog, mix that with ketchup and then spaghetti. It's actually quite good. And I found that I made some yesterday because I needed some B-roll for the video. So I made a version of it that I also shot and did a live stream with so that I could record the footage for it. And it's interesting, like the ketchups. I use Heinz ketchup, which gives it a deeper, heavier, little bit sweet version of it, whereas the one that I had in Japan was very bright and acidic and lighter, because they're using a totally different ketchup. I think they're using Kagome, which is a local brand there. But I thought it was really interesting, like, to try it, because there really was a difference. So if you're using like Hunt's, or let's say you use Trader Joe's or Jufran or something like that, you're going to have a different result. So that's kind of interesting. Baldhead's asking, yes, that is correct. 7 Cox's Road. That's our address here. 8-hour drive away. Not too bad. Not too bad. Excellent. And Brian says, that was a great show. I'm going to make the Asian Western spaghetti, but I doubt your doctor, she probably will not approve of that. I was going to make it for dinner or for lunch today, but some other things came up and I wasn't able to make it. Ended up going to Popeyes. Something that my doctor would probably also not approve. And Brian says, that for the cold brew, or throw the coffee away. No, yeah, use the cold brew. See how it turns out. It's a shame to throw coffee away. Yeah, so we got the video that comes out on Saturday, and then I have to prepare another video for next Saturday. So I'm trying to do releases on the main channel on Saturdays every week that are edited videos, whereas we're doing 5-day-a-week live streams in the morning, which actually has been really good, but it also does take up a bit of time, so I'm not as able to get focused. So I've actually spent a lot of times, usually I'll come in from like 8 to 10 at night and do a lot of the editing. Then for some reason, I can't really get a lot of stuff done during the day. But, and Rusty says, Popeyes, man, I miss, yeah, that is, I don't know what possessed those guys to get rid of the Cajun rice. That was their best side, and it's very different without it. Very different without it. Baldhead says, my mom used to make something similar, overcooked soft spaghetti, hot dogs, bacon, random. Oh, yeah, totally. You've totally had this spaghetti Napolitan. That's totally it. And really, it is just kind of like whatever you got around the house, you can use it, right? I'm totally with you on that. Tony says, Brian, I have eggnog flavored cold brew coffee for that. Oh, cold brew coffee eggnog. I like that. When can you stop? Yeah, come on by. I'm here most of the day. Just drop me a text. I don't smoke flavored cigars or drink flavored. Now, we have a friend of ours here in Baltimore, Al, who makes eggnog. And man, that eggnog is super good. Like, he made a batch for me 2 years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so delicious. I did not get on the list this last year in 2022. I was very sad. I was very sad. I got the recipe, but I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much alcohol in it. There's so many different alcohols. It's like, oh man, that's a $150 batch of eggnog. Really, I shouldn't be drinking more than 32 ounces. Right? Tony says, I couldn't throw it away, so I just had 2 shots of espresso to my... Oh, nice. All right, so we're pretty much at the end of the cigar. It's almost time, and my fingers are starting to burn. So let's go and review our scoring. I really should put this down because it is burning my fingers. I think we're still in the same position. Very good plus. Now, burn and draw, I'm going to say we're at excellent because burn and draw has been very good. Consistency, I'm going to say 8.75. Overall, 8.5. All right, that's our stuff there. So let's give a scoring on it. And eggnog will clean it. That it will. That it will. All right, let's have a little look here. We've got 8.5 plus 17 plus 17, 17 plus 9 plus 8.75 plus 8.5, which gives us 85.75. Now, where does that leave us with our scoring? All right, here we are. 85.75. Ooh, that's a tie with the Tatuai Saints and Sinners 2022 members exclusive number 3 torpedo. There it is, the Serneda box press Robusto pre-release. And that gives us cigar. Now, so we've got two ties here. Two ties, so 2 ties. And then one more tie. So we got 3 ties, so 13. That's going to give us the 10th cigar of the year. So very nice turnout. Baldhead says, I have an accent cigar somewhere. Maybe I'll smoke that next week. Yes, give the Siglo a little bit of time to get a little more time. Maybe in 2 weeks it'll improve a little bit. So, all right. So there it is, 85.75, number 10 of the year. A nice turnout. Just as, since I did mention earlier that there's a lot of, a lot of similarities early on to the Revenge. So we got 85.75. Let's look at the Revenge from last year, 81.75. So ranked higher than, or scored higher than the Revenge. Not bad. Not bad. But for this year's lineup, we're still... The Mirfel blend is still at the very top with the Don Pepin 20th anniversary. I'm going to have to get, speaking of 20th anniversary, I'm going to have to get this Tatuaje one to try, see how that might rank in here. The Loma de Cerdo, James Fox, La Polina, Don Juan Urquijo, the Quinquagenario from Roma, the H. Private Reserve Brazil, Rocky Patel Mareva. Can you believe that? Rocky Patel in the top 10. That's a surprising one for me. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you spending another Thursday night here with me here on the Coffee and Cigars live stream. We're back next week, Thursday night, 8 p.m., as always, with another cigar. I'm not sure exactly which one it's going to be. Maybe we'll do the Sacacan. Maybe. We'll see. I'll work on the listing, the lineup for the next couple weeks and make sure that's published soon. All right. So I hope that was a good one for you. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys again. And until next time, if you have the time, if you're up in the mornings, you want to hang out and talk coffee, we've got the coffee Q&A every Tuesday, every weekday morning, practically, on the main channel, the OnoCoffee channel at 10 a.m. So come join us there if you have the time. Mom, good to see you. Baldhead, Brian, Tony, Rusty, Bud, Steven, good to see all of you. Baldhead, I was always happy to have you guys. And for those of you who haven't revealed yourselves, we're glad to have you too. All right. So until next time, hope you have a great one and see you next time.